Hi there, I'm Megan and I go by Solar Glow Meditations, and welcome back to a distance Reiki healing meditation session. Before we get into it, I did pull some tarot cards to figure out the energy that we're working on, as well as some crystals to align with that energy. Don't feel like you need to remember those. I'll link them in the description box if you particularly liked any one energy. And I need your consent to work on your energy, so out loud in the comments, in your head, wherever you feel most comfortable, just consent to receive. And I do have an ad-free version of this available on YouTube. It's a membership level on my channel, so check that out if you don't want to pay for full on YouTube Premium. Yeah, let's get into this. This was an unexpectedly fabulous reading. I love it. We're gonna start with some obsidian, and I guess the cat's out of the bag. This all ends so incredibly well for you, but we're coming from a place of emotional blockages, of being really emotional, being so sucked up into things and energies that aren't yours, and just reacting to situations without taking that pause to really think about what it means, really feel into the information you're receiving. So we're just going to start by grounding and coming back to our bodies, noticing how we feel, noticing your breath. Oh, I already feel things starting to like shake out and relax a little bit. Feels like it's been a little bit tense and like you didn't even realize you were tense in places. And just sort of feeling into the energy a little bit. It doesn't feel like this is any sort of one particular situation you're looking at. It feels like it's just sort of everything. Like you might have bits about work, about friends and family, about just the collective of society, about that construction project happening down the street. There's been a lot of reasons to be upset and complain, and things aren't flowing smoothly, and that's just kind of how it's been, but it's been frustrating. Maybe it feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or maybe even 3 steps back. Funny thing about life is that it never quite goes in a straight line forward. It's never point A to B. Even when you're driving down that road to get wherever you're going, there's always twists and turns, and unfortunately most of us haven't figured out how to fly yet, so I can't just levitate and go as the crows fly. Crow flies to wherever I'm going. Although that would be really convenient. It would probably save a ton of time. Maybe someday we'll get to that Jetsons-like future. But in the meantime, this is going to be oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry over this. It's going to be a way to find joy wherever you can. It's not that anybody is out to get you. The construction projects, the road projects, for example, there to make everything better for everyone, but you have to do that by inconvenience first. And that's a lot of times what growth can feel like. Maybe an inconvenience, maybe a disruption. And it can be unsettling and all of those things. So just taking that moment to recognize what is really frustrating you. And why is it making you so emotional? We're going to use some Kumbhaba Jasper. And we're just going to work on opening our hearts up a little bit. There's lots of things that happen outside of our control, outside of our free will, outside of what we want to allow into our space. And you don't always necessarily get to choose what happens to you, but you do get to choose how you react. And if you've been reacting in a way that just creates a self-perpetuating spiral that's not really helping you or anybody around you, so instead, Spirit is like, practice acknowledging your frustration. You're allowed to be frustrated. You should validate your feelings and yourself. But then after you've done that, take a moment to find joy in whatever the situation is. If you really are stuck in traffic because of a construction project, look to the right at the trees and notice how the leaves are changing in colors and how the sun is filtering through and warming you up just a little bit. Or if it's pouring down rain, how the rain is helping the trees to grow so that the leaves will change colors again next year. How can you change your perspective to find joy in whatever it is that's happening? I've seen a lot of chipmunks around recently, and they're perhaps a funny side story. When I went camping over the summer, the chipmunks unfortunately have become accustomed to human food and they're very aggressive about getting it. But their food of choice was the most sugary sweet snack that we had. I think I had bought some of those like pink frosted sugar cookies from the store, and that's what they went for over everything else. They didn't want the chips. They wanted to be sugar on sugar. And so ever since then, I just see them as these little creatures that are just wired and maybe a little, I want to say cracked out, but that doesn't feel very respectful. But that's the best language that I have in this moment for that. And so seeing them run around is very funny as opposed to the squirrels, where the squirrels feel a little bit calmer, and maybe it's part of their vessel that's delivering. They're a little bit, I don't want to say quieter, they're a little bit, it takes a little bit more for them to move, so they're not as all over the place quite as much as the chipmunks are. All of this to say, notice what's going on around you right in this moment. Seeing some lovely water. I think some of you are located perhaps near a beach or a lake or something like that, but there's like this motion of the waves and the crashing if it's a little bit stormy, and like this nice calm glass feeling as you look out over the water on a very calm, still morning. That little bit of crispiness in the air that comes with the fall season. And for some of you on the southern hemisphere, I'm seeing this like crispiness that goes with the spring season, like the new freshness of growth. That crispy feeling, I just love to bottle it up, and here we are bottling it up in the form of a video. And with that, we're going to move on to orange calcite. There is so much to be grateful and thankful for and find joy in, and just fall in love with life, romanticize it, find the creativity in it, let it flow to you. Let it fill you up and warm you up, and maybe it's that feeling of the soup I'm about to go make later, to pair with the crunchy leaves that I'm gonna step on as I go to pick the apples off my apple tree. With the equinoxes comes a bit of a celebration of the changing of the seasons, another part of a cycle complete. What other things can you celebrate and find joy in? Perhaps you've found a new good book that has captivated your attention and sucked you in so emotionally that you feel like you're a part of the characters. You get to explore new places in your imagination. Or maybe you're planning a trip in real life to go visit somewhere you've never been before. And looking at pictures from photographers and influencers and whoever else has visited before and found the most beautiful angles of the buildings. Maybe the little shops that are maybe local bakeries are locally owned, and just full of things that you've never seen or don't typically see when you go out into the world. There's something so special about experiencing things through fresh eyes. Maybe you're picking up a hobby for the first time, and the newness, the excitement of a blank page laid out in front of you, of if you're painting or drawing, for example. Or maybe you're building something with wood, or I'm seeing the tile mosaics. I have this grand inspiration to create mosaic tiles for myself and then find somewhere in my bathroom to actually tile those into the wall, because it's something I've created with my own hand. It's unique, it's beautiful. It's not the millennial gray walls I have painted in my house. Grand desires to change the whole house into just mosaics of flowers. And I like the idea of like little penguins along the baseboards. Even little dainty details just etched into a corner somewhere. We are going to move on to malachite to anchor in this feeling of abundance, but it's not necessarily abundance of stuff or money. It's abundance of this feeling of joy and newness and being in love with life. being so happy. So happy that you are the crazy lady down the street that just everybody thinks is nuts, because you know what, the world is on fire and it doesn't matter because I'm still happy. Nobody can steal your joy unless you let them, and so we're not gonna let them. And sometimes that means turning inward and filling yourself up. You have the power to do that. You don't need anybody on the outside. You just have to decide it's yours and anchor it in. This stone was calling to me because of like this aspect of abundance, but it feels very interesting with the energy because it almost feels like antithetical to this orange calcite, where it feels very light and flowy, and the malachite feels a little bit more dense, like it's anchoring it in. But it's hard to anchor in such this like wispy, joyous energy. It just, you can do it, but it's almost like you have to like let it flow, let it go, let it do what it wants to do. Because the moment you try and trap something that isn't yours, it becomes something that it shouldn't be. So we're going to put the malachite down. We have this joyous energy. We're calling in our own energy and making it filled with joy. But we're also going to send it back out into the world as the world needs it. I have this very nice image of bringing a flower into, it looks like the barista at the coffee shop that you visit most mornings. There's no reason for the flower, just besides you want to brighten somebody's day. And you know what's great about that, doing these little acts of kindness, is it brings it back tenfold to you. Sending joy out into the world brightens somebody else's day, and that creates this cycle of infection. So instead of spiraling down, we're spiraling up. It's a mission to see how joyous can we make this world. Okay. And with that, we are going to use a piece of Lumerian quartz to just amplify this joy energy. The last card here is just the Wheel of Fortune. We have this good luck, this karma, this happy destiny, this joyous feeling. And it's worth sharing and worth amplifying. And it's really wonderful feeling where we've just, feels like we've reached this sort of inner level of peace, and it feels like so good. And I just, like, this whole time I just feel like I just want to cry with happiness and joy and like relief almost. It's not that I haven't been happy, that's not it. It's like happiness and being able to express it in this way. This feels like a nice spot to just sit and be for a very long time. You might have thoughts that pop up. You can be curious about them, see what they have to say, thank them for coming through, and allow them to move on, and just bask in this space of an open heart and joy and peace. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.